Lisa, off the charts. I had such a great discussion on Giant TV with her, and we just chopped it up, got into it, and speaking the same language. She goes in and trains sales teams for companies. And I love the part we were talking about in what is missing from the sales reps that aren't hitting numbers. And we talked about discipline, process there, the different touch points. So you're going to get a ton from this discussion, and you've got to get connected with this woman up there. This is her on LinkedIn. Find her, connect with her. She's amazing. And go check her out right now with me on Giant TV. Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on Giant TV. Really glad that you came here. This is Paul. I'm the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media, and just 100% fired up for my guest, Lisa Peskin, who is the CEO and founder of Business Development University, or BDU. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I love it because you and I were talking offline. You've got so many great things going on. Was blown away by you're about to become a full Vistage speaker, which is great. I know we're talking more about that, but your Business Development University, fascinating. I've been looking at your videos and your site. So tell us what you're focused on. What is your business all about?
So when I started this business over 20 years ago, I had one sole vision, and that was helping sales and sales leaders be as successful as possible. Back in the 90s, when I was running a 40-person sales force for ADP,
Yep.
I told my sales managers back then it was all about figuring out what 3 areas that, if improved upon, could have the biggest impact on performance. And ever since then, that's exactly the way I run my business. I don't cookie cutter anything, but I try to figure out what's going to actually drive the numbers.
Yeah, because are there problems that you see across the board with sales teams? Like what are they when you're going in there?
So when I look at sales success as 3 components. 1, filling your pipeline with good quality opportunities on a consistent basis. That includes keeping our existing customers, penetrating them, and getting net new business. So that's number 1. Number 2 is sales process. So once I've got a suspect or prospect or client in front of me, what's the process I take them through? And number 3 is attitude and motivation. Am I not only willing to do what it takes to be successful, but committed to doing it day in and day out? So what I believe is I look at those 3 areas and try to figure out how I could drive the number. Can I increase the close ratio if it's below where it should be? Can I increase average sales? Can I help them penetrate their existing customers by talking about white space matrix and share of the wallet conversations?
Yeah, love it. And I got a couple questions there. So first of all, before I dive into what you were just saying, when you started your business, when you just flying solo, was it scary, or do you just said like, do you had people waiting for you to sign up, or what was that feeling like?
Well, it was scary
Yeah.
and it was not easy.
Yeah.
And I remember taking X amount out of my savings, putting it into an account and starting my business.
Oh.
And getting that first client was not so easy. And I remember I was taking people out to lunch and not able to, rub 2 nickels together. But,
Check's on you. Here's the check, please.
and then the nerve of ordering macaroni, lobster macaroni and cheese, and I'm cutting coupons. But it took persistence, took a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I knew what my passion was, and I knew what my forte was, and it evolved. It
Yeah.
evolved into what it is today, and I'm so proud of where we are, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, yeah. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, I think. That's what they say. And as far as the training, I know you had a great comment when we were talking before. You said that you're focused on getting results. The sales training, it leads to that, but you're just results driven, which is great. But would you find that because I see this when you're dealing with an individual or a team and the sales are not happening. Is it because that person has not made it part of their identity to be focused and organized? Do you encounter that ever? Or people just aren't processed or don't have a process they're focused on?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest areas that I find are people are just winging it. They don't
Yeah.
have any rhyme or reason to what they're doing. Every day they're checking their voicemails, they're checking their emails, they're checking their mail, and then just kind of winging it without understanding the formula for getting to be successful.
Right.
So we kind of bring it back and make sure everybody that we work with has a 30, 60, 90-day game plan and a
Hmm.
rolling 30, 60, 90-day game plan with well-defined activity as well as result goals. And once you know that blueprint, then all you need to do is hit those KPIs and those indicators of success. And it's kind of an easy formula because when it comes to what we do, it's just an equation.
Yeah, that is that's so accurate. As you were talking, I was thinking, you know, when I first started in sales, it was for me, it's always been about time blocking, having a good process, a good thing to sell, but about time blocking, being organized, efficient. It was a numbers game to a certain, extent. You do these things and the outcomes will happen. Would you say that's a fair statement?
It's absolutely fair. And the analogy I utilize is for those of you out there who have been tortured by Weight Watchers like I have. I mean, they're cruel. Every single week they make you get on the scale. And after I had my two kids, they weighed me every week and I lost 17 plus pounds. Since then, I try to do it on my own and I cheat because I'm not being held accountable. And
Right.
so I believe in SMART goals, specific, measurable, aligned with your company, realistic and timed. But I believe that we need not only activity goals, but result goals. And we need to hold ourselves accountable to those goals and then modify them based upon our results. But
Right.
as I said, most people are just winging it. And a lot of companies, they don't even have a playbook. They don't even have one place for all their salespeople with all the tools that they need to be as successful as possible. And when it comes to a leader in sales, it's a one-line job description. All
Yeah.
they need to do is figure out how to maximize the performance and the potential of the people that work with them.
Is part of that motivating your sales team too?
Well, it's absolutely half of sales success is attitude and motivation. Half of sales success,
Yeah.
not a third, but half. Am I willing to do what it takes to be successful and am I committed? And back in the 90s, this is what I was taught. When someone wasn't performing at the level that we wanted them to, we'd look at willing, committed, able. I could teach them how to sell, but if they're not willing to do what it takes to be successful and more importantly, committed to doing it,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
bets are off, right?
Not gonna happen. Yeah. And are you getting involved in both product and service, the product and service side of things? People selling either one?
So we work with mostly business to business companies,
Hmm.
except for some financial institutions like credit unions and banks and financial advisors, and a scattering of B2C, but mostly B2B. We are industry agnostic, so we work with all different types, whether we're selling a product or whether it's selling a service. But the most important thing when it comes to our clients, we believe in a very consultative approach to everything. I believe that nobody in this whole wide world likes to be sold anything. And I think we've got to stop trying to sell our stuff. It's all about, can I help this individual or company with my product or service? If I
Yeah.
can figure out a way to help them, I'll sell them. And not to do a shameless plug, but during
Please, please.
COVID, I finally wrote a sales success workbook, which is basically everything I've ever learned in sales. And I put a bunch of tools in here that some people say that this is their little Bible. And I'm constantly trying to figure out how to make people or help people to be as successful as possible. And I'm writing my second book, which is a sales leader success workbook. So I'm pretty excited about that as well.
I love it. I was checking that out earlier, and I want to tell everyone listening that wherever you're watching this video, because we'll stream it everywhere, that Lisa's information and a way to get that book will be around it. Maybe it's up here or down here, but at least we're going to put up all your links. I got to ask you this because it's so curious. So, you know, you are probably the same way. I get hit up 30 times a day, pitched, right? People have no idea who they are. They get my email or whatever it is. I get them. Doesn't bother me. I'm in sales. I get it. And people are doing what they do. I just never get bothered by that stuff. But my point is that they're pitching right away. And I always, when I get them, I always look for all the mistakes. And I want to call the person of time to say, hey, listen, you're probably a good person. Can I give you some advice on how to approach someone the first time? Because this is not the way you do it. But I'll ask you the question. Uh, if someone's selling and you don't want them pitching right away, what does the opening look like? Interaction.
Great question. So I do believe that there's a sales process.
Mhm.
And it starts with pre-call planning when I'm about to meet with a prospect. Then I'm building rapport with that prospect. I'm transitioning to confirming the amount of time that we have together. Then I'm asking them their agenda. Then, based upon what they say, I'm stating my agenda. And then, whatever I want to get done at the end of that meeting, I state at the beginning of the meeting and I get agreement. Because then I could just assumptively go on to a defined next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that said, I believe in the sales process, there's two types of needs. There's what I need to know, and there's how I can help the prospect with my service or my prospect or
Mhm.
my product.
Yeah.
What do I need to know? I got to know makers, decision-making process, decision-making criteria. Are they looking at any other alternatives? What's their timeline? What's their budget? Is this a must-have or like to have? What's the ROI? So there's a lot of information I need to gather. Well, counterintuitively, I believe I got to find that information out first. Because if
Absolutely.
I'm finding it out on the back end, I get into a sales mode. But if I do it on the front end, it's a consultative mode. So if anybody does get my book on page 167, I've listed out the steps of a prospect call and what are all the things you need to do and say in order to make sure that you're finding out what's important to them before you get into presentation mode.
Such a great thing to say. You and I are on the same page because I often, when I'm working with folks, tell them you got to have an agenda on the first call. You can't wing it. And for me, what works for me, my agenda is all, I have 3 steps, and it is right out of the gates when I'm first talking to somebody, it's humanize the interaction. Humanize it is, people tell a lot about themselves on, profiles like LinkedIn, the website. You can see a lot about what they really care about. And so bring something up, and for me, it's like the pre-call prep you said, look at them. What are they putting out there that's important to them? Humanize it, ask them about it, shows that you care. And then I go to relevancy, humanize, then relevancy of why I'm interacting, and then call to action at the end. It's sort of my agenda, which I think you're on the same page.
Absolutely. And that
Yeah.
building rapport, I learned that back in my ADP days. That was one
Right.
of the first of the 6 steps because we want to be on the same level. We don't want, sometimes a prospect will treat us like this. We want to be on the same level. So if we approach them, connect with them, not as someone that's trying to sell them anything, but as Lisa,
Yeah.
or, you know, that's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
doing your homework so you can connect. I remember going into the editor of the Philadelphia Business Journal, and I saw ice hockey on the bottom. And I just walked in and I'm like, ice hockey, huh? And that was all I said. A smile came to his face, and we probably spent the first 10 minutes talking about our sons that played ice hockey. And I talked about the fact that I wasn't the best hockey mom in the world because I'd cry if anyone was on the ice. But we connected at a different level. And I think a key to anything is connecting with people
Of
and
course.
having them believe that you're not there to sell them anything, but you're there to help them.
Yeah, and there's an art and a science behind that, in my opinion, because you can't just fake that. I mean, you can't be bullshit where you're just, asking a question and not, you don't really care, but you're following some script. I mean, I think if you're naturally curious, it helps, right? And be interested in people helps. But also, Lisa, I mean, everything's got a sales cycle, right? I mean, I ask, my clients all the time, what is your sales cycle? Tell me what your sale. Many of them don't know, but a lot of them do. But they have like a 90 to 120 day sales cycle. I'm sure you're focused on that too with your clients. What is the sales cycle? And then there's a journey within that sales cycle, and you nuance that journey out, right? Where you just carve every piece of it. Okay, here's best practice for this slice of this 4-month journey. I mean, you get into that too?
Well, absolutely. So when you look at sales from this level,
Yeah.
there's a couple different key indicators of how you could drive the number. And I'll get to sales cycle in a moment, but you could also, by increasing close ratio, could have a significant impact on their numbers. By increasing the average sale of their prospect or clients, we could significantly impact their number. But
Yeah.
shortening the sales cycle as well could also have a significant impact. And there are ways that we can create a sense of urgency, especially when we get into ROI conversations and get quantified numbers. But the other thing is, I find that a lot of salespeople have loosey-goosey next steps. Oh, I'll be in touch with you next month.
Very true. Very
Instead of
true.
getting defined next steps. So I always say, always do the next step at the current step because it's going to save yourself a step. And
Totally.
so if they're not consistently getting that next step on the calendar, there's delays, and all of a sudden it goes cold often.
Yeah, person ghosts you, or you're trying to like scramble to get somebody back on a call. No thanks. Yeah. Well, literally, I could talk to you for the next 4 hours and just pick your brain. I mean, I love it. I love it. We're talking the same language. It's great stuff. Well, I just want to say to everybody, thanks for listening. Lisa, you and I are going to keep talking and even maybe have you back on and dive into some other issues because this is a great topic. But thank you. And yeah, we'll see you again soon.
One more
Oh,
thing.
yeah, one more. Okay, okay.
One more thing, because everybody who knows me associates BDU and lemons. So
I
I'll
get it.
leave all of you with a thought, and you can see my lemon
And
container.
it's on your site. I see it on your
There's
LinkedIn profile.
lemons
Yeah,
everywhere. And
everywhere.
most people think it's about making lemonade out of lemons,
Yeah.
which I'd be great at. Because in my family, we've dealt with a lot of adversity and I know how to look at the positives and everything. But squeeze the lemon is, how do you get the most juice out of your life? How do you get the most out of
Oh.
every day, out of every conversation? So in our personal life, it's, I'm hitting the microwave for 5 minutes. What can I do in that 5 minutes? Or I'm walking up the stairs. What can I pick up? Squeeze the lemon in our world is, a client of yours says, oh my gosh, Paul, you're awesome. You've helped me grow significantly over the past couple of years. Squeeze the lemon would be asking for a LinkedIn recommendation, a
Hmm.
referral. Can I
Hmm.
use you as a reference? So the two words that go along with the lemon are, let's be purposeful in everything we do. Let's not just do activity for activity's sake. Let's do it with a purpose. And the corresponding word would be accomplishment. So for every activity we do, we got to figure out what we want to actually get out of that activity. So if everybody could take my little metaphor of making the most of your life and every day and every conversation and being purposeful, that's what life is all about. So squeeze the lemon.
I love it. And yeah, I love it. Just great stuff. Well, until we meet again, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you so much. And it's been a pure pleasure.
Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Bye,
All right.
everybody.